Hi, welcome back to Garden. I'm in a slightly different spot this week. A bit more traffic noise, a bit less of my neighbours' early Mother's Day weekend celebrations. I don't think they bought a loud sound system for Mum. I could buy into all sorts of stereotypes, but I think it's just the excuse for getting the party started a little early, and I can understand that. I've been there, got the t-shirt, and I do have a large garden, so I've moved. This is the second time I'm attempting this video. The first one was somewhat sabotaged by the local fauna, in this case the small red ants. I didn't spot them, usually I do, but I didn't today, and they are very annoying, especially if you're standing literally on top of their doorstep. They don't like that, and they let me know. So here we are, take two. And if I'm being totally honest, take one kind of brought home to me how woefully unprepared I am. But I'd like to keep with this weekly rhythm, and perhaps a video that is a sort of introduction makes sense too. I've been talking recently about Brain Joe, about the learning process, and I also did a recent summary when I looked at the many different ways that our the pursuit of our dreams falls prey to self-sabotage. And one of the obvious areas that our nagging interior little devil preys on is that question of you're too old. And sometimes that is, of course, true. You know, I am too old to become an Olympic sprinter. I'm not too old to start running again, if that's what I wanted to do. It's not. But I could. There's fantastic videos on YouTube of 100-year-old ladies sprinting 100 meters. Sprints perhaps an exaggeration, but moving as fast as their little legs can carry them, you know, and if it takes them a minute, so be it. So there's always a way to pursue your dreams, whatever your age. But I want to look at that kind of idea a little more deeply, and certainly more deeply than the typical 5-minute inspirational YouTube video, or at least the sort of positioning they take. And actually there's books that are written in a more academic self-improvement sort of vein. A classic one is entitled Late Bloomers. But I was looking for something more inspirational and biographical, autobiographical. And there is one out there that I'm going to start reading. I haven't started yet. And that's a book called Too Old, I think it's entitled Too Old for Art School, by an amazingly named writer, Nell Painter. Now, if you have heard the name Nell Painter, you probably haven't. But if you have, it's more likely because she is, in the United States, a very famous lady, probably someone that will evoke strong feelings one way or the other. She's an academic from an Ivy League university, sort of liberal arts, I think an historian. And Nell is a black lady, so her writings tends to be of a more black consciousness, feminist, liberal perspective. If only because that's who she is. I suspect that sets some people's teeth on edge. Some people, it might be more than just setting your teeth on edge. It might be run counter to everything you believe in, which might be male white domination, you know. But let's put all that to one side. She is a very famous academic, and in her 70s or late 60s, she decided to go to art school. And it's an interesting sort of road to go down, because art is one area where quite obviously you can, sort of, if you've reached a kind of retirement age or looking for a new challenge moment in your life, you could certainly pursue painting or art as a self-taught, or initially as a more of a hobbyist type of angle. So why is it that she decided to go back to university as I suppose, not a pensioner, but of a pensionable age? So that's an interesting question that I'd like to find out. I'm intrigued about how she, not just the why, but and also not just the obvious obstacles that she confronted. And I think she is probably, as a feminist, liberal academic of colour, I suspect she is not afraid to tackle the enemy head on. And if she perceived some sort of ageism element, based certainly on the interviews I've seen with her, I'm sure she wouldn't have been put off or frightened by that. So perhaps there's an element of that, kind of proving people wrong or taking on the system. But I want to look at it on you know, with an open mind, and I have no idea what the book's going to offer. I think what is going to be interesting is how she dealt with the question of eventually saying, I am a painter, not I am an historian who is dabbling in painting. You know, so there's all sorts of things that questions that may be answered. And I'm intrigued as to what those answers might be. And I will keep you posted. I'm not sure if you can hear the little alarm telling me that I've got Facebook messages. If I can, I apologise. I really do need to work out how to turn off that alarm. I don't believe it's that difficult, but it is very annoying. And I'm sure you did hear it. So my apologies, and you know, put that one down to my technophobia and something that I need to tackle on, kind of full on. The enemy that is trying to work out how to operate apps. There we are. So that's, I think, the next book on my reading list, and the project continues. What I do feel is quite obvious, that the decision to go back to university at that point in your life, or the decision to take on a formal course, I'm not sure if this is what drove her, but by taking something on formally, it's a bit like having a very high-level accountability partner. You know, and I find that useful in my chess study, that one of the stumbling blocks in learning something when really nothing's at stake, I mean, a lot's at stake, a more meaningful life is not nothing, it's everything. But nothing's at stake in terms of immediate discomfort. But the moment you enroll for a course, you pay your tuition fees, you sign up to a group, and you make a commitment, something more tangible becomes part of the equation. And I think that's a powerful and very helpful motivator. Anyway, lots of questions, no answers to speak of. I began apologizing for the sort of vagueness of this week's content. I suppose I should make no apologies. This is a visual filmic diary of my own sort of thought process in developing something. So I know there's been one person who's benefited from this short film, and that's me, but fingers crossed you've got something out of it too. And if not, I hope otherwise your lives are filled with joy, and you're enjoying your own learning process. And until next week, hopefully with something a little bit more content rich to offer. Ciao from a sunny Brazil.